Welcome to the Copper King Mine and Railroad. Today we're going to talk about trackside and mining buildings around Bingham Canyon. So stay tuned. So this is the mill area of the Copper King Mine. We've showed another video about the mill area, but here's some of the buildings around here. There's that little switch tower. If you remember, it's all finished inside and has papers on the desk and everything. So it's really kind of cool. That interior of that building's all done. Then it has a substation building and just other buildings around this mill area. This is on the other side, and this is the flagman tower of the Copper King Mine and Railroad. And then here's a little switch shack right here. This is about the size they were at Kennecott, these little switch shacks. Then another switch tower up here. I don't want to go too fast and make you dizzy here, but there's another switch tower right there. Then another switch shack. This is over kind of by the mine area. Then we'll scan over here and you'll see some of the track gang shacks and buildings. We're having a little line job right here with the track gang. So you gotta have your little track gang shack to get out of the weather. Then we'll go over to the city area and see some of the buildings over here. Of course, the little engine house we have there. And then this switchman's tower right here going into that yard for the shops. Another switch shack. Anyway, so that's some of the buildings on the Copper King Mine and Railroad. Now we're going to go over to look at the buildings around Bingham Canyon. It'll be really interesting. So hang around.
Trackside and mining buildings at Bingham Canyon Mine. My friend Larry Sax has many pictures of Bingham Canyon, the town, the mine, the communities around the mine. He saved a lot of these pictures and information as they was being discarded during the change in management at the mine in the 1980s. I scanned them for him. As I worked on these pictures, we spent hours talking about the people, places, and the work at the mine. We thought all these pictures and information was important and wanted to share it with everyone. Don Strack let us put Larry's pictures on his website, utahrails.net, and there's over 700 there for you could look at. Part of that collection was a number of buildings and shacks around the mine. We know about some of them, but others there's nothing we know where they're at or what they were. Kennecott or Utah Copper always had a purpose for taking a picture. So as you look at these pictures, try to think of what purpose they had when they took it. Many buildings around the mine had to be moved from time to time because of the mine expansion. Some buildings came with the purchase of property. So they always had a purpose, so try to figure that out. That's what I do when I look at these pictures. We'll look and talk about some of these buildings. We'll start with this building. This is warehouse number 1, and that was up on the north end of B&G Yard, just across the Carfort Bridge, or it was also called A-Line Bridge. And you see how neat this building is. Look at this earlier picture of it, and this roof line. They will eventually change this building. They was always fighting for room, so it was sitting on the edge of the mountainside right here. This is an office building, and it's sitting on the edge of the pit. Here's another picture sitting on the edge of the pit itself, and you can see it's portable, so they can move it. This one was taken in 1956. Then we have a great picture of this large train shop, what was at the mine. It's a neat old building, and we don't have very many pictures of this building, so I'm thankful we have this one. Look how long and skinny it is. There's only like 3 doors going into it, because they was, like I said, they was always looking for room at the mine. And it's just hanging off the edge of the mine. And then part of that complex, there was storage sheds, and this one's the carpenter shop. And you can see stacks of wood right in front of that carpenter shop. And this is the oil house right here. This is part of that complex. Then also they had this large coaling tower right here. The pit converted to electric motors starting in 1927, but the main line out to the mills, the B&G or the Bingham and Garfield line, kept running steam engine, and they ran that right up to 1948 when they built the Copperton Low line. So they had the need for coal and water still up in B&G Yard. This tall, slender building was for dumping the ash. The steam engine would dump their ash and it would fall between the ties to a lower level. The conveyor belt would take them back up this building, and then it would come down and load a railroad car was sitting here. You can see the railroad cars filled with ash sitting right there. We have a couple of pictures of this building. This was the car repair shop. It was on the north end of B&G Yard. See the waste cars waiting to go inside here. Then later on, they'll make this into the track shifter shed and shop. So you probably know it as the track shifter shop. Now these next pictures are probably taken up in the old Boston Consolidated area. And I don't know if this came with the purchase of some of this property or even where these were at. Some great old pictures of these old shops and old buildings. And this would be high up in Carfort Canyon. Another interesting thing, a lot of the pictures I'm showing were dated November 11th, 1930. So if you see the date at the bottom of the picture, there's quite a few of them that says November 11th, 1930. Now this picture is a large switch shack they had at the mine. Most of them were a lot smaller, and they still use switch tenders and switch shacks when I worked up there in the late 60s and 1970s. So they kept that going for a long time until they put in electric switches and stuff. And these few buildings, they look like they have a water tower with it too in the back. These few buildings look like repair shops, car repair shops, and they was up in Copperfield, and that was on the other side of the mine. So they didn't have to come all the way to cross the mine to do a simple brake job or something on these cars. And this is an office building up in Copperfield. You see in the back, it's got the cement structure, and that was the vault, I guess, for payroll. And then here's some other pictures around the mine. Like I said, this is taken in November 11th, 1930. Then we have some other pictures in a big old water tank and probably a pump in there for it. A couple of pictures of that. And in this building, I have no clue what it was. It has some kind of, I don't know if that's a water trough or flue going into it. So that's kind of neat. I like this tall, narrow building right here. I think that's really neat. I think that was up in B&G Yard. I'm not sure what it was for, though. Then a couple of metal buildings they had, and I love this old Chevy right here in this Ford. That's great pictures of those cars. Here's another one of those metal pictures. And is that lawn they have around it? That's unusual to have a lawn anywhere around the mine. Then just some other portable shacks they had around the mine. Look in the background, there's a small switch shack, and there's actually a switch tender standing right there. Then this building is down the mouth of the canyon. It's got Bingham on its roof. I guess they didn't want to lose it. And then this other picture is up at the mine, and you can see an ambulance in there. I guess that was the ambulance shed for that. And this picture was taken in 1965, and I think that tower, that right there, is a sand tower. So they had sanding for the train traction. Then another trackside photo. A lot going on in this picture, and it was taken in July 1965. It's kind of fun to look at. Then we have a couple of pictures of the heating plant at the bottom of the hill. The first one, of course, was dated November 11th, 1930. And they would make steam at the bottom of the hill and then send it up to the shop complex. And this was when the shop was on the south side of Carfort Bridge. The second picture is the same concept, but a lot later. It was 1958, and there's a boiler down here, and they would just send steam up the hill. That way they didn't have to deliver fuel oil up the hill, up in that B&G Yard, and it was a narrow road to get up there. So If you have any ideas what some of these buildings were or they were at, let me know in the comments. Now I know this video isn't the most interesting video, but I wanted to document some of these buildings here, so that's why I made this video. So that's the buildings around Bingham Canyon Mine.